Our team consists of 4 members. It's Sam, Hannah, Rohit, and me, Angela. And for our final project in WebDev, we decided to create an application called GitChat. Our application was inspired by the audio chat social network Clubhouse, in which people can drop into public calls and listen to what is being said. So we decided to implement this concept in the context of GitHub, in which collaborators can start an audio call inside their repositories that can be joined by other GitHub users. The call would give the ability for collaborators to discuss the project in one place at the same time without having to respond individually to issues and potentially making very long comment threads to scroll through. It also gives non-collaborators the chance to listen to collaborators, talk about their design process, approach to bug fixes, future directions, etc.
This project contains more features than the other apps that we have worked on during this class. With implementing the voice calls, GitHub authorization, and friend feature, we combined what we learned in class with new concepts we learned during the development of this app over the past few weeks. Our app contains both a server built in Elixir with Phoenix and a client built with React. Our server exposes a JSON API that the client uses to get information about users, calls, and history. The React app is a single-page application that uses React Router to simulate different web pages. GitChat implements secure login through GitHub and uses the GitHub authorization process to make authenticated requests to the GitHub API for user and repository information. In order to store information about users and their history on GitChat, we created a Postgres database that stores users, their friends, their starred repositories, and their call history. The history allows users to quickly access the repos they've joined on a call recently to jump on a call again with other collaborators. The Friends feature is integrated throughout GitChat so that users can have an insightful view of what their friends and colleagues are working on. The neat feature that we chose to implement was the voice call feature. When a user logs into GitChat, they can click on any of their friends' repositories and join a voice call with other people working on that repo or interested in hearing about it. We used Phoenix channels to implement this real-time functionality of joining a voice call.
The whole project is centered around repositories and people talking about specific projects they're working on together. We also added the functionality that if you're not a collaborator in this repository, you can come and listen into the conversations about the project and maybe even try to join in. So when you first get to the app, you can see this login screen with the login button. When you click it, it'll take you to the GitHub's OAuth page where where we use the GitHub authentication token. So I can authorize myself right here. And then it brings me to my personal page. Once you're logged in, you'll be redirected back to the home page where you can view information about your GitHub repositories, your personal call history, and your friend requests, as well as your friends and favorites. So going through your repository, you can choose a repository that you're interested to work on. I've been working on this GitChat project recently, and all my collaborators should be already there, so I can join the call here. And in this room, it'll ask me for my microphone, obviously, because I need to join a call. And here I can see that all my other collaborators are joined and I can hear them.
Hey Sam, how are you doing?
How's it going, Rahid?
Pretty good, pretty good. Funny seeing you in this GitChat repo.
Yeah, and now I can mute certain people, so now I can't listen to Rohit's annoying voice and bring him back here. And if you join the call as a user, then you can listen in and your name will appear in the listening in list down here. And you can leave the call anytime by pressing the leave button, which takes you out of the call, drops you from everyone else, and then you're back, and you can join back by pressing join again here. Another feature we have is the friends feature. So as you can see, we have friend requests that work kind of like Facebook friend requests, and it's a mutual agreement. And here I can look for any user. And here's Rohit. I can add him as a friend and see his own repos. And if I want to join a call on any of them, I can join it right here. So adding him as a friend will put when he accepts it, it'll add him in my friends list. And when you're done with the page, you simply hit log out and you're back.
Since we wrote our proposal, we've had to scale down some of our ideas in order to make the project more feasible to complete in the time that we had. So the main thing that changed was how non-collaborators interacted with calls on the platform. In the proposal, we described a queue system where someone who is not a collaborator for a repo can listen in on that repository's call and request to talk by joining a talking queue. Then collaborators would be able to see this queue and give its users talking privileges. However, we found this very difficult to implement, especially in the time that we had, and the current system is now implemented so that collaborators can join and speak during a call, and non-collaborators can join a call, but only to listen. There's no way for them to request to talk or to get the ability to talk. Our proposal also included the idea of flagging users who are known to be trolls or known to create a negative experience on the app, which we also did not end up implementing.
Different interesting features such as friend requests, the recently visited repos, and live call functionality. So basically, I can search up a user and send a friend request. So if I wanted to search up Hannah and go to her page, and I can add her as a friend, which sends a friend request. Here we can see that Sam has sent me a friend request, which I can accept, and now he becomes a friend. So basically, we used a system similar to the Facebook friend request feature. So basically, when you send a friend request, it will basically create a record in our request table, which basically has an invitee and an inviter. The inviter is linked to a user, and the invitee for now is just a string corresponding to the login, since the user may or may not exist in our database at the moment. Once the request is accepted, this request record gets deleted and becomes a friend, which has an inviter and an invitee, which is both linked to a user. Also, we have the concept of recently visited repos. So if I want to join a call for this repo, I can join. Once I go back, we can see that it will be in our recently visited repos, and this is useful for repos that you recently visit often, and it'll show you when you visited this repo as well. So for this, we have a table called the recent, which basically has the name of the repo, the URL, and the user in which it corresponds to. The timestamps are useful here to know exactly when you visited this repo. In addition, we also have favorites. So basically, if I really frequent this repo right here, I can favorite it, and it will show up in my favorites right here. And I can get rid of it whenever I want, and it will always show up here. So for this, we have a table called the favorite table, which will basically have the name of the repo, the URL of the repo, and the user that it's linked to. So yeah, that's basically it for all of the database stuff.
One of the most complex functions of the app is probably all of the calling functionality. We decided to use a peer-to-peer model and WebRTC for our framework. And we found Peer.js, which is a pretty good library that really abstracts out a lot of the functionality, so we went with that. Peer.js just really is a thin layer on top of WebRTC, which just gives us some convenience functionality. For the server, we used a bunch of gen servers and a socket to keep track of all the people that are in a specific room. So there's a gen server for each room, and you join on that channel, and basically the server keeps track of who's joined the room, who's left, what their permissions are, that kind of thing. So when a new collaborator joins, the server returns all of the information of the current members. So right here, this is our join function on the front end, and you can see that we're trying to join. The room ID here really is just the repo name. And we send it our GitHub user token right here, and the peer ID, which is just the WebRTC ID, sort of like a phone number. Finally, yeah, we joined the collaborator and basically set up some information about ourselves. We're using Redux here to store this current state of the room. When anyone new joins on the server broadcasts a message on the socket informing people if a user or a collaborator has joined. If a user has joined, then all the collaborators just make sure to send their own audio stream over to that user by using the peer.call function and sending their own local stream. And if a collaborator has joined, then basically everyone tries to connect to them because they want to listen into the collaborator. And the collaborator tries to answer back right here. This is the answer back function. And when any user leaves, then the channel will notify everyone that that user has left. And we basically handle our state right here, removing the caller and their stream, as well as removing them from the room in our state.